Be ready. Start. In this view, the trial court held that the charges leveled against the accused appellant were proved against him beyond reasonable doubt. The trial court held that the contentions of the learned counsel for accused persons in respect of discrepancies is not tenable since they have not been able to point out any material discrepancy in the testimony of the witnesses, and minor discrepancies in the testimony are normal due to observations error, and thus the prosecution had successfully established its case against the accused. Consequently, the appellant was found guilty of the offences under sections 392, 394, 34 of the IPC and was sentenced accordingly. Further, the appellant was also convicted for the offence punishable under section 397 of the IPC and was sentenced to rigorous imprisonment for a period of 7 years with a fine of rupees 3000. The trial court gave the appellant the benefit of doubt for the offence punishable under sections 25, 27 of the Arms Act, and he was acquitted for the offence punishable under sections 25, 27 of the Arms Act. The learned counsel appearing for the appellant has assailed the impugned judgment on the ground that the trial court erred in holding that the prosecution had discharged its duty to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. The appellant submits that the prosecution has relied on the weakness of defense to supplement their case and there has been huge miscarriage of justice. It is submitted that all the prosecution witnesses are interested witnesses and no effort has been made on the part of the investigating agency to contact the public persons who were present around the incident. The trial court erred in relying solely on the statements of the complainant. It is further submitted by the learned counsel for the appellant that the trial court failed to appreciate the contradictions and discrepancies in the testimony of the witnesses. It is further submitted that the present case is based on circumstantial evidence and the prosecution has failed to connect the chain of events to prove its case against the appellant beyond reasonable doubt. The trial court has erred in holding that the contradictions and discrepancies so pointed out by the police official who had carried the investigations are not material and would not be fatal to the prosecution case. The learned APP appearing for the state has countered the aforesaid submissions and submitted that there was no material inconsistency in the testimony of witnesses and the evidence led clearly established that the appellant was guilty of the offences for which he had been convicted. It is well settled that the possession is of two kinds, actual possession and constructive possession. A person who has direct physical control over any property is in actual possession of the same. A person could be in constructive possession if he exercises dominion and control over the property even though he is not in direct physical control of it. In the present case, the accused did not have physical possession of the contraband. They had no direct control over the parcel as the same had not been delivered to them. The actual control of the parcel was with the railway authorities. Even though a person lacks actual or physical possession of the contraband, nonetheless he may be held liable if it is found that he is in constructive possession of the contraband. In cases where It is established that an individual exercises dominion and control over the controlled substance. The doctrine of constructive possession allows imputing possession even though an individual may lack actual or physical possession. The proprietary interest test is used where the illicit substance is found in places where the accused has any proprietary interest. If an accused is found to have any proprietary interest in an area where illicit substance is found, it may establish his exclusive dominion and control over the illicit substance. This test is effectively used where the accused is the only person who is present in the area. If drugs are found in a house which is owned and occupied by the accused and no other person lives in the said house, it may be sufficient to establish that he exercises dominion and control over the drugs in question. Obviously, this must be coupled with the fact that he had the knowledge of the illicit substance. Similarly, where the drugs are found in a vehicle driven by its owner and there is no other passenger in the vehicle, the owner would be in constructive possession, if not actual possession, of the drugs in question. This court is of the view that in absence of any link with the consignor and any other material, the mere fact that the accused were found sitting on a parcel with the railway receipt would not be sufficient to establish beyond any reasonable doubt that they had knowledge that the parcel contained contraband. Thank you.